During this period of time, during JAG, I remember your process for 13 days. Okay, so 13 Days is this movie where you play Robert Kennedy. Weird connection. I played Teddy Kennedy in another TV movie, so we've played brothers.
Wow.
And you've played Robert Kennedy twice. Okay,
Twice.
so you
Yeah.
were Norma Jean in Maryland and in
Yeah.
13 Days. Were those ever connected? Did they like see you and Norma Jean and go, "Oh, bring him in"?
I spent a summer auditioning for this, and I didn't mention to the director or the producers that I'd done Norma Jean in Maryland, because sometimes if you've done a role before, it might set them against you a little
Okay.
bit.
Yeah.
Like we don't want somebody who's done it before. But then I found out later, after I got the role, that they knew that I had done it. But then Bobby Kennedy in 13 Days was like the third lead in the movie, with Kevin Costner playing Kenny
Yeah.
O'Donnell, and Bruce Greenwood just brilliant as JFK. And it's all about the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. And it's 13 days of that. And Bobby's just a wonderful part.
Kevin Costner's notorious for his like dealing with directors because he's an Academy Award-winning director by himself. How
Yeah.
was it to work with Kevin?
We had a week of rehearsals before we started shooting, and basically what it turned out to be was that the Kevin and Bruce and I and the David Self, the writer, and some of the producers, then Roger, we'd be sitting around a table reading scenes back and forth. The script is written in a very factual way, and the first place where I just went, oh, that scene, that's Bobby. That's pure Bobby to me, was after we're confronted with the missiles, and we go out on the portico, and it's this wonderful scene. I just love it, where the three of us are trying to discussing what we're going to do, and Bobby is so distinctive because he's very like man of action. Break it down into bits. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And I thought he's not reflective. And he had a few lines where he's like, let's get a bunch of guys together. And I think it's like, and put them in a room and kick them in the ass till they come up with some solutions. We're reading the scene, and Kevin wanted to take those lines. And I felt strongly enough about it. And I can see why he did, because they're good lines and he's the star.
Yeah.
But I, at that point, felt I had been living with this guy, for months now. I didn't get angry or something, but I advocated for my lines, and I said, and I was probably more articulate than now, I said, why? I said, because this is so quintessentially Bobby, and this is the first real moment where we see that in the movie, and I went on and on and on. And I got, I kept those lines. And afterwards, one of the producers said, really glad you did that. So after, I said that, like the day after I managed to retain my line, then he showed me this other scene that said, I think in this scene, we're going to have you saying this and this and this. He was like giving me more stuff. And Kevin and I never really, there was always a distance. He was like Kevin Costner and I was this guy. And there wasn't like easy conversational rapport between us all the time. But he said, but he goes, I really am glad you're doing this role.
It's the Patrick Labyorteaux Show. Patrick Labyorteaux. He's the one you gotta know.